All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a story you think you know, right? Flying saucers, alien visitors, all that stuff. But we're going to uncover the declassified truth. And trust me, it's a whole lot stranger and actually much closer to home.
You've seen photos just like this one your whole life, right? For decades, they've sparked so much fascination and a whole lot of ridicule. They're a total pop culture staple. But what's really interesting is that declassified documents, from the very heart of the US government, they reveal a story that's way stranger and much more down to earth than any tale about little green men.
So here's the big question we're going to tackle. You know how UFOs were always dismissed as just hoaxes or, weather balloons? Was that dismissal just an accident, or was it by design? We're going to peel back the layers on this thing, and what you'll see is that the CIA didn't just investigate UFOs. They actually helped create the whole culture of secrecy and ridicule that still sticks around today.
Okay, so let's set the scene. It's the summer of 1952. The Cold War is absolutely raging, and right over Washington, D.C., the nation's capital, the skies are suddenly filled with these, unidentified objects. And it's causing a total national frenzy.
Picture this. For 2 weekends straight, radar operators at 2 different airports are tracking up to a dozen of these strange objects. The Air Force scrambles its best fighter jets, right? But the pilots, they report that these things just zip away, accelerating at these unbelievable speeds. The headlines, as you can imagine, were explosive. And behind closed doors, a very concerned President Truman is demanding an explanation. He wants to know what in the world is going on.
So what does the Air Force do? They hold this huge press conference to try and calm everybody down. Their official explanation? It was just a weird weather thing. A temperature inversion messing with the radar. Nothing to see here, folks. Case closed. Or was it?
Yeah, not so fast. Because that simple public story, it was hiding a much, much deeper fear that was brewing inside the intelligence community. See, the CIA wasn't worried about little green men from Mars. No, they were worried about the Kremlin. So to deal with all this panic, the CIA gets together this top-secret group of elite scientists. This happens in January 1953. It was called the Robertson Panel. And their job wasn't just to look at UFOs, it was to figure out the real threat they posed to national security. And this is where the story gets really wild. Because when you look at the panel's declassified orders, you see their true purpose. They weren't there to find UFOs. Their goal, and this is a direct quote, was to strip them of their aura of mystery. Think about that. Their mission was basically a PR campaign, a debunking campaign designed to just kill public interest completely. And their plan was? Well, it was extraordinary. It was basically a blueprint for a nationwide psychological operation. They recommended using everything: mass media, TV, movies, newspaper articles, and get this, even Disney cartoons, all to convince the public that UFOs were not a big deal. Oh, and they also wanted to start monitoring civilian UFO groups just in case they were up to any, quote, subversive activities. But you gotta ask yourself, right? Why go to all this trouble? Such incredible lengths. If these were really just weather phenomenon or pilots seeing things, why would you need to create this huge, sophisticated psychological campaign just to debunk them?
Well, the answer had absolutely nothing to do with aliens from Mars. While the American public was busy looking up at the stars, wondering what was out there, the CIA was looking east, right toward the Kremlin. Their real fear was the Soviet Union.
Okay, so here's the nightmare scenario the CIA was playing out in their heads. They thought the Soviets could actually use the whole UFO craze as a weapon. They were terrified that an enemy could flood our air defense channels with tons of fake UFO reports. And if that happened, how would we spot the real Soviet bombers during a surprise nuclear attack? The system would be completely clogged. UFO hysteria wasn't just a distraction, it could be a psychological warfare tool to create panic and mask a real-world invasion.
And here it comes. This is the great, great irony of this whole story. At the exact same time the CIA was busy orchestrating this whole campaign to debunk UFOs, it was also secretly creating them.
Yeah, you heard that right. A declassified report
written by the CIA's own historian, dropped this bombshell fact. More than half, over 50% of all the UFO reports in the late 50s and 60s had one single top-secret American-made explanation.
And what was it? This right here, the U-2 spy plane. This thing was a revolutionary aircraft. It flew at these insane altitudes. We're talking over 60,000 feet. That's like 3 times higher than any commercial airliner could fly back then.
So just imagine you're an airline pilot flying along at 20,000 feet. You look up and you see this thing. Or maybe you're just on the ground at sunrise or sunset. The U-2's silver body reflecting the sun from way, way up there, it looked exactly like what people would call a fiery object, a classic flying saucer, and it generated hundreds and hundreds of UFO reports.
Now here's the real kicker. The Air Force's own official investigators, the famous Project Blue Book team, they knew a lot of these sightings were just U-2s. But that spy plane was one of the country's most important secrets. It was our eye in the sky on the Soviets. So, telling the public the truth? Absolutely not an option.
So what did they do to protect the program? Well, they lied. They had to. They just went back to the same old playbook of explanations. Oh, it was probably weather balloons, or ice crystals, or that classic temperature inversion. But all this deception did was pour gasoline on the very fire of conspiracy they were so desperately trying to put out.
You see how this created a totally vicious cycle, right? You start in '52 with the public panic over D.C. That leads the CIA to create this debunking policy in '53. But then, just 2 years after that, their own secret U-2 planes start flying, which creates hundreds of new UFO reports that they then have to lie about and cover up. This just fuels more and more suspicion all the way until Project Blue Book gets shut down in '69, leaving behind this massive wake of public distrust.
It's just incredible when you think about it. The very actions the CIA took to try and prevent panic, to protect national security, they ended up doing the exact opposite in the long run. They created this deep, lasting legacy of distrust in the government. And that legacy has totally shaped how we talk about this whole topic for, more than 70 years now. And the long-term cost of all that secrecy, it's just immense. The CIA itself, in one of its own internal reviews from 1997, basically admitted that, just like the JFK assassination conspiracies, the UFO issue probably isn't going away. Ever. No matter what the agency says or does. Because in the end, all those decades of denial and cover-ups, they created a mystery that became far bigger and way more enduring than whatever secret they were trying to protect in the first place.